Let the record show at 6 o'clock, call our meeting to order. Sarah, will you please do the roll call?
Patty Gokenhauer.
Here.
Linda Barnhart.
Present.
Eric Hall.
Here.
Buchanan Norton. Tim Lewis.
Present.
Daniel Gant. Michael Bush.
Here.
Donald Short.
Okay, we do have a quorum. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. That's been sent to you. No changes in it, so I need a motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Goff to
Second.
approve, second by Mr. Lewis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any questions? Motion carried. Next, we have the open governmental. If you came this evening to speak to the commission regarding something that is not on the agenda on a public hearing, now's your opportunity to make your comments known. If you want to speak regarding something that's on the agenda, a public hearing, that will be at the designated time and announced. So, is there anyone who has anything they wish to address the commission that's not on the agenda? Okay, doesn't seem that we have anyone. The next item is approval of meeting minutes. Again, those have been sent to you.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Goff, second, Mr. Gokenhour, to approve the meeting minutes. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstention due to absence, please.
Okay, let the record show there's one abstention by Mr. Bush due to absence. Okay, we have two public hearings this evening. The first one is Meadow Crest.
The first public hearing tonight is a request for sketch plan advancement. The project is Meadowcrest, file 2309-301. The developer is Panhandle Homes and the engineer is Fox and Associates. It's located in the Falling Waters District, tax map 17, parcel 12, and is located at the northeast corner of the intersection of Beddington Road and Davis Drive. This project proposes 25 single-family detached lots and 4 single-family attached lots on 10.2 acres to be served by public water and sewer. At the October 16th, 2023 Planning Commission meeting, the developer was granted a waiver to Section 801, Table 8-1A8, requiring 2 spaces on-site and 1 parking space off-site for single-family attached dwellings. On November 22nd, 2023, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance. The sketch plan meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends advancement of the sketch plan to the preliminary plan stage.
Okay, do we have anyone to represent the program?
Yes, good evening. Steve Sianovich, Fox and Associates, representing the applicant. Justin Henry with Panhandle Builders is also here this evening.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, this is the public hearing for Meadow Crest. If you have questions you want to ask or comments that you want to make, now's your opportunity to do that.
There is no one. I move to close public hearing.
Let the record show that there's no one to speak for Meadow Crest. I have a motion from Mr. Goff to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bush. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Planning Commission members, do you have questions of Mr. Sianovich or of the staff?
Pretty straightforward.
Okay. Is that the beginning of a motion?
Yes. Yes, ma'am, we will be. I'll make a motion, we accept staff recommendation for the sketch plan to the preliminary plan stage.
Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Gokenhour, second by Mr. Goff, to move the project forward to the preliminary plan stage. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any questions? Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
The next public hearing is Fairway Farm.
Yes, this public hearing is also a request for sketch plan advancement. The project is Fairway Farm. The file is 2304-146. The developer is DR Acquisitions LLC and the engineer is Integrity Federal Services. It's located in the Falling Waters District, tax map 13, parcels 5 and 30. The site's located on Hammonds Mill Road, approximately 1.2 miles west of Interstate 81 interchange. The developer is proposing 321 single-family detached and 300 and 3 single-family attached lots, a total of 624 lots on 160.8 acres to be served by public water and sewer. No waivers or exceptions have been requested. On November 28th, 2023, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance. The sketch plan meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends advancement of the sketch plan to the preliminary plan stage.
Thank you. Do we have anyone to represent Fairway Farm?
Good evening, Chad Wallen of Integrity Federal Services,
Thank
here on
you.
behalf of VR Acquisitions.
Thank you. Okay, this is a public hearing. It's opportunity to make your questions or comments known regarding this project. I will tell you that this is the very early stage, so there are some things that we do not have the answers on, and that would be the water and sewer availability, State Health Department water and sewer availability, highway entrance and central dispatch names, and NPDES permit applications. So there are some things that aren't due at this time. So if you have questions regarding those, we'll have to answer those at a later date. Come forward, state your name, your address, and your questions.
Phil Hutzel, and I'm at 3935 Hammons Mill Road, Edgesville, West Virginia.
Okay?
And my concerns are with that development, the Cardinal Point development right below me. I live across the street from this. When they were blasting for that, it shook my place a couple times, pretty decent with their blasting. I didn't see any foundation cracks. This development is across the street from me, a little closer. So I was concerned with, I was going to take videos of all my foundation. I have a brick home and block basement with brick outside. And if it's cracked due to their blasting, who's responsible to fix that? And the second concern I had was the well that I have. My neighbors across the street had their well go muddy a couple times during the blasting the past 2 summers. And mine was okay, but if my well gets muddy or goes dry from all the blasting and changes the course of the stream, you know, who's responsible for me losing my water? So that's the 2 questions I had on that. The third and last question I have is the road. I know you mentioned something about that. They hadn't about the entrance, but that's right prior to crest of a hill and a slight curve. And you know, if you live there, you'd understand the traffic situation, how much traffic goes through there, and at what speed they go through there at. And you know, you're going to have a pull-off lane both ways that people can get around them, or you know, somebody stops there for a minute to do something and it's traffic backed up for a half mile, no time at all. So that was my 3 concerns with that.
Okay, it does appear that there was a traffic study not approved by DOH. What does that mean, Doug?
We're still working on it.
Still working on it? That would be a traffic study done by the developer, submitted to the Department of Highways, that they are still negotiating for that. I can tell you that.
Okay, and I understand that development does back up to another road. Is that correct on the backside?
I don't know that. Doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's no right way back. It's all 30 foot deep back.
Okay.
That's why he purchased that ground out front. Is what he did.
Yeah.
Okay, are there other questions or comments from the public?
What about my water question or foundation question?
Well, that would be something that'd be the responsibility of the developer.
Okay.
Yeah.
They are held responsible for that if I can prove so, or?
Mr. Legal?
Well, generally, Mr. Bush, courts, I'm sure, in law school, blasting and things like that, an ultra hazardous activity where there would be generally strict liability where you wouldn't have to fault. But should talk to an attorney.
Right, I had blasting license when I was working, and we were responsible for recording, registering certain places within so many dwellings that we had to register what the scale was. That,
ATF regulates the blasting, and they'll actually have them
right.
have the graphs.
Right, so I mean, that
when
would-
they are blasting. But yeah, that's who regulates all of that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Name's Mick Lane, 3975 Hammondsville Road, Hedgesville.
What's your last name?
Lane,
Okay.
I'm right there on 901, right here as neighbor. My concern about the whole intersection right there at 81 and 901. You put a great big warehouse back there, all the trucks are gonna be fixing to come in, and then you're gonna put another development right across the street from Cardinal Point, which they're not even finished building yet. So my concern is about the hospital and the schools and the roads. What are y'all gonna do about that? You gonna build another school and a hospital?
That's the Board of Education. We have no.
All right, what about the hospital?
We don't have a control over the hospital.
But you have control over the population explosion.
No,
You don't?
no.
So why are we even here?
We are here to see that the project is built in accordance to our subdivision regulations. We
So,
can't
but
go
none, you're not worried about the existing people that live around here.
Well, I wouldn't say we're not worried about it. Of course, we're all worried about it, but there are certain things that we cannot control. And the things that you're bringing to us this evening are things that we have no control over.
But you should have control over, you should have regulations.
The regulations don't address hospitals and schools and roads. They
So if your child or your sister or whatever has, and waiting on an emergency room and they got, how many, 150 people sitting in that little bitty room? Have you been to the hospital lately?
Yes, sir, I have.
My wife just got done dealing with cancer down there.
I understand that completely.
And the schools, if you look online, everybody's complaining about the schools. They're overpopulated. You're bringing in another 300 homes or whatever.
I suggest that you speak to the Board of Education on
And
that.
they do their own studies as far as their growth is concerned.
It's all about the bottom line, the dollar bill.
Well,
And the people that live here already, it seems you overpopulate. I mean, like I said, the warehouse. Where are all these trucks going to come? I used to drive a truck. I know when you come in to a warehouse, they're not going to let you sleep there. So now Walmart's going to get bombarded with trucks already. They already got bombarded. So where's all the trucks going to go with the traffic and the accidents and the lives that are going to be at risk?
I understand, we don't control one road in this county, not one road. that we
Who does?
control. The state of West Virginia.
Okay,
The school board.
it's kind of funny. I couldn't put another driveway in, but yeah, they can turn around.
The school board is an elected body.
Okay,
They control the school system. The hospital, our local hospital is run by WVU East.
right.
They know the growth here. So if they want to invest here, I hear every word you say. I get it. And I don't disagree with what you're saying, but like Ms. Barnhart says, we do not have authority over those agencies to say, look, you need to add on to your hospital. We don't have that authority.
But you have authority over the restrictions of building how many houses.
We have restrictions on the subdivision rules and regulations that we've adopted. And if they meet those rules and regulations, then that's what we go by.
So in other words, we wasted our time coming here.
If you're talking about those particular instances, yes, sir, I'm sorry to say that.
How many, you don't know how many entrances, he's already got an attitude. How many entrances, you don't know how many entrances you're gonna put in there, right?
2.
Where's the other one?
There's 2 on 901.
On 901, along right across the street from Cardinal. Along with Cardinal Point. So how many lights are gonna be put in right there?
Right now, the traffic study calls for no lights. Doesn't make warrants.
That's because nobody's there. Except Cardinal
Traffic
Point.
is not generated enough to justify traffic. So
Once you put, how many,
On 901, you'd understand.
yeah. We live right
I
there on the
travel
crest
that
of the
road
hill.
every day.
I live on the road.
Hold it. We're not gonna get into an argument situation. We are trying to
I just
answer
want
the
answers.
question. Well, we can't answer the questions that you want answers to,
He
sir.
can.
He can answer the questions that he reviews, the subdivision regulations, but he can't answer questions about where trucks are gonna sit or where hospitals
But
are
all
going
that
to
should
be
have been
improved.
figured out before you even put a building in there.
Excuse me?
All that should have been figured out before you put a building in there.
Sir, we don't regulate what goes in. We regulate how it's built.
Exactly.
So what's your question?
You should have been regulating how that building's going to go in there and everything else, the environment impact.
It is being regulated. It's being regulated through our subdivision.
Have a good
regulations.
evening.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak?
Glenn Cushwall, 4352 Hammondsville Road. I'd have to agree with the two fellows here with traffic issues and stuff. And I seen the layout there, and I bordered the property with my house. I built myself a nice house, and now I'm gonna have townhouses in behind me. That's a little upsetting. It'd been nice if they could have kept the townhouses, everything to one side, still right in behind a nice piece of property.
I hear you.
And so, and another thing is the infrastructure around here. I mean, the roads can't handle much more traffic than what's on them. So I don't understand why we keep building and building, building. We need to regulate some of this building that's going on.
You know, we hear that at every planning commission meeting. The schools aren't adequate, the roads aren't adequate.
I drive bus for Berkeley County Schools, so I see it every day. I mean,
Sure
we
you
got people at Potomac lining up in the medium. It's an issue. And we just keep letting it go and go and go. It's time to put our foot down and start charging some.
Well, our county commission meets with legislators every year, once or twice a year.
Oh, we meet with them officially once a year, but we're in constant conversation with them.
Yeah.
And I've been to Charleston numerous times. I go to every Department of Highways meeting that I can get to say, look, you've got to invest in roads in this county. We
do.
cannot continue to turn your back on Berkeley County roads. And they get back in their car and they go back to where they came from, and you don't see them again.
I was born, raised right on 901. Cardinal Point was my family's farm, my grandfather's farm.
Yeah.
It's sickening to see what happened there. I understand we can't stop progress. I understand that, but we could try to do a little better job at putting nice houses in, making things look great. I mean, I've got a nice brick home, 10-acre lot, and now I've got townhouses right in behind me. That's just, to me, devalues my property. So if they could keep them all up to one side, up by the trailer court or something, that would be great. Put houses in behind me. But to put townhouses right behind me, I mean, like I said, we're not going to do nothing about it, but at least I came to voice my opinion.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is this is in the early phase of the sketch plan.
Yeah.
So,
Like I say, I understand we can't stop progress, but we could at least try to make things decent where I've got a nice brick home, a nice spread, and then one townhouses right in behind me. I mean, that's, to me, is unacceptable. I mean, if I was a builder, which I am, I'm a small builder, I wouldn't do that to somebody's property. I'd keep all that stuff to one side, not right behind somebody's nice house.
have you spoke to
No, that's
your
the
acquisition?
reason why I came tonight, to find out what's going on. Got all the concerns that guy there had with my well, because my well's right against the property line. So I have all the same concerns. So
Chad, can you address any of those issues that Mr. Kuchwal was addressing?
have y'all been out to the land to look at the layout and stuff? How would you feel if you had a nice house there and somebody threw townhouses in behind you? You wouldn't like it.
This layout, there's more than just the layout. There's phasing to it, there's stormwater, there's all these different elements. You want me to address them specifically, or wait?
Let's wait till the end if we have other questions, and then you can.
Yeah, because I'd like to talk to the builder to see if we can arrange some things. I mean, I understand we can't stop it, but to have three-story townhouses, two-story townhouses? Yeah, I can't plant no trees to block myself from that or nothing. I mean, if we got single-family homes back there, I can plant some evergreens, take care of it. But I'm sitting there looking out, and I got three-story townhouses. I mean, think about it.
We did have a project down in the north end of the county where there was townhomes and single families, and we did talk to the developer and
Right? I'd appreciate if we could just move
well,
them.
and let me just tell you this, we did talk to the developer, and so did the people that were in the adjoining subdivision, and the developer put in some screening, which was trees of some kind, fast-growing trees. I don't know what they were. Maybe Mr. Wallen would have some idea.
Well, I'd like to speak. Are you the project manager or?
Women.
Okay. I'd like to speak to you afterwards, because if we could get single families, I'd like to purchase a lot or two for my son to live behind me, get something beneficial out of it. But these townhouses right behind me, that's not sitting well with me. Like I say, I know there's nothing I can do about it, but at least I came and spoke my piece. So.
Thank you, Mr. Cushwell.
Rich Highland, 4145 Hammondsville Road.
I'm sorry, your last name?
Highland.
Okay.
I echo the sentiments of the three gentlemen before me. I just, with Cardinal Point going in, which was on the side, that's the side I'm on, it is a lot of traffic, and I know you guys don't control the traffic or any of that kind of stuff, but down by St. Andrews Road, it's a very complex intersection. There's already been several accidents there. You know, they really need to consider putting up some type of light or some type of something to help flow the traffic, because someone's going to get killed. And it might not be this year, might be not next year, but it's going to happen. I've seen several accidents right there at St. Andrews at that intersection already. I have to walk across the street to my mailbox to the side of the road we were putting in development, and the cars fly past me when I'm, you know, obviously I got to look, make sure that, you know, before I look cross, but obviously, you know, you got to get across, you got to wait, and they're flying. They go up and down that road at high speed. So it's just something you guys should be aware of. I know there's not much you can't do anything. You can talk to your legislatures. I know they just get in their cars and drive home, and that's what you guys are going to do tonight. But hopefully do something about it after you drive home tonight and bring it up that it's definitely a real concern for safety with the traffic on that road.
Thank you. Additional? Public hearing? This is your opportunity to make your comments known. Okay.
There is nobody else. I would close the public hearing.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Goff to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second by Mr. Lewis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any questions? Okay. Is there opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the public hearing is now closed. Commission members, it's time for you to ask questions of our staff.
Can we ask Chad to maybe give some insight?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of what we heard was traffic and entrances. That traffic study's been ongoing with the DOH. As part of that, we have to submit site distance profiles, spacing, and all this is up to their approval to access their roadway system. And without that, the project doesn't happen. So that is an ongoing work, and they're working through that, and it should be resolved. It will be resolved before preliminary plan and probably even halfway through that process. Blasting, I think, was adequately addressed by staff. And as far as the towns adjacent to, apologies if I pronounce this wrong, Mr. Closher's home, DR Acquisition, Matt Stair, representative, is here. He's willing to, I'm sure he's willing to talk to him about that.
Okay.
And do you have any other questions? I would like to add, this sketch plan, we did not ask for any waivers. Everything is by the ordinance. And I just wanted to point that out because there are a lot of townhouse communities now that do ask for a reduction in parking, but we're not seeking that request.
That's good. Thank you. Commission, do you have any questions of Mr. Wallen or the staff?
Yeah, Mr. Wall, what is the distance between the two entrances there on 901?
I think it was it 350? 595, so I was in there.
595. And then on in the subdivision to get out to either one of those discharges, there's a major intersection right there on an internal road, just in almost like a crossroads.
Yes.
And which I know that's an internal road. It doesn't have anything to do with Department of Highways or anything, but you know, there's a lot of homes in
So,
this subdivision.
yeah,
A lot of cars.
absolutely. And when you get into larger subdivisions like this, an intersection like that, we would recommend to be a four-way stop. Things like this, when you get inside a community, you want it to slow down, split the traffic off the road. We come in with two roads and try to get traffic going different directions, but we would imagine that to be a four-way stop. Of course, that would be subject to engineering review.
DOH did ask that question in their last round of comments back, that the outfit looks at that intersection because they felt that it would create a issue with traffic backing up out towards 901 within the subdivision because the intersection angles are skewed, not right angles. The DOH has asked that question. However, I haven't seen a response back on that yet.
Well, we did revise that intersection and remove the one that was closer down here back, and these are at 90 degree up here. So this has been through revision, and that intersection was moved farther
I
back.
don't think that's been submitted back to DOH yet, has it?
They will have opportunity to review all final plans.
Right, but it hasn't been as of yet.
It has
correct?
been.
It has?
It has.
Okay, because we haven't seen that submitted.
Okay. We'll make sure to get a copy.
Again, this is just the very first step to a very large subdivision. And there are, I'm sure, a lot of critiquing that will go on between your firm, our engineer, and DOH, and the State Health Department. There's a number of agencies that haven't reviewed it yet.
And one thing, you know, I've done many of these sketch plans. This is one of the few that actually does the traffic impact study up front before the sketch plan because it's not required in the sketch plan. So this one's actually got out in front of it, more so than many others I've been involved with.
What about the school impact analysis?
That was submitted. We received no comment from the board.
Is that right?
Yep. It's part of every sketch plan application.
You submitted it the 25th of April?
Yes. It comes in with the regular sketch plan submission. It's used for the school's forecasting for future enrollments.
Okay.
So the school impact had no response.
We received no comments.
DOH, you're still working with them to see if there's any warrants as far as any upgrades to 901.
Yep. That scoping has been done now. They're just working through the improvements. Scoping is the contributing
Their
factor.
preliminary opinion of those entrances that close together on 901 doesn't cause them any heartburn.
No.
Well, they actually commented that they felt that one would be better than two because they felt that the two closer together literally had no impact on anything, and that it could impact on everyone. The traffic study itself assumes that 95% of those people leaving that subdivision go towards 81 every morning. So the only true improvements that were really triggered was the left turn lane to go on northbound 81. That one needed to be extended to queue for cars turning to go north. And then the left turn lane at BFS, which is the TJ Jackson, that queuing was found to be insufficient, but that's being taken care of by another project. The only thing DOH seemed to be interested in was adding a second lane on the southbound exit ramp of 81 so that it could be a dedicated left and right turn lane at the signal at 981. But the intersection with Patrick, or with Andrews, right? Yeah, Andrews, that intersection did not really trip anything. And neither did the entrances out on 901. You have to remember, DOH does not have a warrant specifically for safety. That's why we had the issue at the steel mill, remember?
So is it just for traffic flow?
Yeah, it's
It
for
has no-
volume.
They don't recognize the safety
Right.
issues? That should be
Safety
first.
alone does not trip a signal.
Signals,
One of the very few places I've ever done this with.
safety, they look at sight distance, and they compare that with speed and get that done. He mentioned a single intersection. The county ordinance requires two entrances. So we have to meet that requirement with the ordinance. And that's where we stand on that.
Well, but
Well,
to
actually,
the
we require two entrances, but they're separate and apart.
point, the spirit of the two entrances is a life safety aspect, and you made the comment that no waivers are being requested at this point, and I appreciate that. My concern is that the two entrances presented are designed for the letter of the law, not necessarily the spirit of the law. And when we couple, the distance or lack thereof between road A and B with this intersection that Commissioner Gokenauer has identified with the intersection of A and B, and I think it's I think that causes some real concern should there be an event where a lot of people need to get in or out of the subdivision, aside from Department of Highways entrance permit issues. And I think my experience in this commission is that if we're relying on the Department of Highways to determine safety, I think we've been let down time and time again. And I look at the sketch plan portion of this as saying, I just don't know if we're all the way there with the two entrance requirement being in place to ensure that there's adequate life safety supports for a neighborhood of 624 homes. And that's my primary concern, in addition to the school bus pickups and how we'll coordinate all that. But as to the sketch plan, it's hard for me to get behind the configuration that's proposed.
Well, the two entrances will account for anything that happens within the development, and they'll have an alternative way to get out. Now, the ordinance does not provide a specific distance separation on the roadway. DOH does. I don't know that off the top of my head, but that's something they check. This is very similar to the condition that happened 2,000 feet up the road, the Cardinal Point, that was approved in the county. So we do feel this meets the intent of the ordinance, and the letter of the law of the ordinance, and no waivers have been requested.
Understood.
Doug, what is the resemblance to this development compared to Patrick Jackson? That we denied that basically the
Basically,
same.
it's close to being the same, whereas what we felt was better and much safer, especially for that stretch of 901, was to take the two entrances off, have one, and then any improvements that needed to be made on 901, such as a dedicated left turn lane in, or even a signal at one intersection, which I'm not even sure if we can trip enough to get one signal for the for a singular intersection. They're looking at the counts. But a singular intersection would be much favorable here because it could be placed in the best spot. And then you would probably have dedicated turn lanes, left turn lanes, and through lanes there that would help that traffic in the morning and evenings. The big question comes in the whole study is they assume, once again, hear me, 95% leave and go out in the morning, which I agree with. The distribution that I have issue with is 95% coming home at night. I'm not sure that's the right number. I think it gets distributed when you get to 1181. When you get to those intersections, I think traffic begins to get distributed in the evening. The question becomes is what we were pushing for was, for the developer to make a reasonable request of Spring Mills Farms? Yes. Spring Mills Farms Estates. There is a small right of way because those roads are heart rights. They belong to DOH. There is a very short spur, 100, 200 feet, that there's already public sewer in for the pump station. If somebody intended that to be a road, the original developer did, and that would be a relief entrance out the back door that could disperse traffic to a completely different direction than 901, using Ninetown and 11, would be the perfect scenario. We've asked for that to be done, but that we have not really seen. Where on Patrick Jackson, we did ask them to make and they did show us that they made a reasonable request.
Steve Mathias with Bowles Rice on behalf of the developer. There's a couple memos in the Planning Commission file from me explaining the problem with Spring Mills and Jersey Lane. And a lot of people are calling this a right-of-way. It's actually, or they're calling it a subdivision road. It's not a subdivision road. If you look at the plat, and if you look at the covenants, it was a right-of-way reserved by the developer, as we believe at the time he was interested in buying adjoining property to connect and to join in with Spring Mills. And there's some evidence that he had communicated with the neighbors about acquiring that land. And at some point, the owner died. He apparently had trouble. He deeded lots back in lieu of foreclosure. Apparently had some financial problems, which leads us to believe he just wasn't capable of acquiring that adjacent land. But this little right-of-way that they've been referring to is just a right-of-way reserved by that developer between two lots. It's not a part of HARP. It's not a part of the subdivision roads. It was a right-of-way to benefit the developer who actually never did anything with it or actually needed it in the future like he thought he might. So there's a couple of memos in the file, like I said, that addresses that. I'm happy to answer any other questions if you have any about that. But the developer, Spring Mills, is deceased. His LLC's defunct. As far as I know, he never conveyed the right-of-way to the HOA, so there's really no one out there that can deed this right-of-way to anybody. And then you get into the issue, well, is Spring Mill lot owners going to want all that traffic going through their subdivision? So it's kind of hard to believe that even if they had authority and capability of conveying a right-of-way, that they would. But the developer has had us do extensive title work to see if we could acquire a right-of-way, and we haven't been able to determine that that would be the case as a practical matter for the reasons I just stated. There's nobody that's used that right-of-way for adverse possession that would have acquired a right that could convey a right now to the developer. So it's just a platted right-of-way reserved by the developer, and like I said, it's not a part of HARP. Doesn't connect with the HARP roads. Wasn't conveyed to the state. It's just a platted right-of-way that was reserved by the developer.
Who pays the taxes on that?
I can't answer that.
Somebody owns it. Somebody owns it. Somebody's paying taxes on it, I would think.
All I can assume is that the county made a determination that it was part of the HOA and they weren't paying the taxes on it, but I don't know for sure. I mean, it's one of those things that's just out there in space that nobody's really addressed until now when it's been brought up as far as this project's concerned.
So, Mr. Mathias, the roads in Spring Mills Farms, are they a private road or is that a state road?
They're HARP roads. So
they are under state
yes.
Authority.
Right.
So,
but they don't. But this right-of-way that's being talked about is not a part of HARP.
okay.
And you need the right-of-way to get to the adjoining properties. So the HARP roads, they won't satisfy that.
Has it not to get into your business, but has there been an approach made to purchase that from the homeowners? Do you know? Can you answer that?
To my knowledge, no. The developer would be in a better position to answer that, but I seriously doubt because we really don't believe the HOA has the right to do that. And like I said, we've done title work. We've looked into who we thought owned the road, which was the developer of Spring Mills, who died. His company went defunct. because he didn't pay his taxes or whatever. So if the developer was alive, it would be a completely different discussion. We could approach the developer of the LLC and say, will you give us a right of way? Can we buy right of way? But the developer himself, the member of the LLC is deceased, the LLC is defunct, and there's just nobody that we know of that we could approach that would have the right to convey that to him.
I just want to add a comment. Mr. Bush said that, about the two entrances being too close together. I agree with that. I would not be in favor of a single entrance. I mean, I'll just draw the line right there in the sand that if you came back and said we're going to have a single entrance, I'll be totally against that. That's over 600 houses that have to have a way to get out. And if that intersection is blocked, they cannot get out. That's too much of a health risk, family risk, and all that.
The plans call for two.
Sorry?
The plans call for two entrances.
The state highway hasn't approved those yet.
Well, we're not at that point yet. We're just a sketch plat right now, and like the engineer indicated, all these things are still ongoing in discussion and things, and maybe it'll be worked out and maybe it won't. I don't know, but right now we're just here for advancement of the sketch plat.
I think there are a lot of unanswered questions, and I'm sure Mr. Wallen will dig into those, and will hopefully try to accommodate as many of the public concerns as that's been mentioned this evening. It's a big subdivision on a road that's not adequate. We all agree on that, but what can we do to the DOH to make them improve? That's an ongoing story.
Yeah, well, like you mentioned, they've been ahead of this issue from the beginning, and with our firm, it's not like it was, oh my gosh, after somebody complained or something that it came to the developer's attention. They've been addressing this for over a year, and now the engineer will be addressing it with the Department of Highways. So, like I said, we were brought in to see how we could acquire a legal right-of-way through either Jersey Lane or Spring Mills, and based on what we found from doing the title work and who owns what, there's nobody out there that we can go to and be comfortable with to say that if they gave us a right-of-way, it would hold up in court if somebody wanted to challenge it. And I imagine Spring Mills residents would probably challenge it if the HOA or somebody else conveyed that right-of-way. So, but we've done our best to determine who that could be, and it's just, we just haven't been able to do that. It's just one of those things. And like Jersey Lane, that was brought up. We investigated Jersey Lane. But to me, Jersey Lane, I think, after we did the title work, turned out to be like an old timber road in the mountains or something. People just started using it, and the next thing you know, there's a pathway there. But our memo addresses that also. Other attorneys have done title, and they haven't been able to certify Jersey Lane either. They've issued title insurance, but they don't issue title insurance for Jersey Lane. And Greg Yabrunetsky, he had been involved with that road before and other lots, and he checked his records for us, and he couldn't find any indication of any formal formation or authority to use Jersey Lane either. So we've done about all we can do as far as trying to find somebody that could give us a right-of-way or sell us a right-of-way for that matter. And it's just not something we've been able to resolve and not be worried about a lawsuit down the road if somebody didn't like it. So that's why we're where we are.
Thank you. Commission, do you have additional questions?
Just one final piece, just quickly picking up from Tim's comment. Yeah, the spacing of the entrances is a problem for me, but also, if not more so, is the configuration of them. This intersection of A and B and I being so far at the front of the neighborhood just doesn't look like it can service much. It's not like there were two roads that are traveling all the way through the neighborhood. It's just, I think there creates a life safety issue there, and I've got some concerns about that.
Can I make a comment?
Can I make a comment on that? I'm far from being a smart fellow, but I do have some common sense. And when you look at this, it looks like a pipe stem driveway into a major development in behind. I don't understand how we could look at this with all the houses in behind there and think they're all coming down to 901 in one spot, only 500 feet apart, right in the dip in the road. So I agree with what you're all saying up there.
So, and I just wanted to address a couple of things Mr. Bias said and what Eddie was talking about here. So a piece of land is either in a lot or it is a road. We don't really have, well, there's railways and things like that, but that's what we have on our tax maps. This is on the tax map as a road. We believe it was platted as a road. There were a few things in the when this all went about what the intent of that was, but the developer put that in as a road, not a right of way over a lot. So this is a roadway between two lots. The subdivision there has given others, such as the sewer district, the right to use that. And a few years ago, the sewer district came in and put in a gravel, I believe it's gravel, is it gravel?
Yes.
Paved gravel road through there. So it would be up to that subdivision to do it. I disagree with Mr. Mathias, and we've had many discussions about that. Because our concern before was, of course, the if there's an emergency, either at that intersection there's still 400 or so homes back there, or if there's some traffic accident somewhere else, to get the flow of traffic out through there. We were thinking that maybe that would have been a Harp Road as well, but that little spur that is up until now only been used by the sewer district it was not incorporated into the DOH's system when it was taking in Harp Roads back 20 or 25 years ago. So I think it can be done. I don't think it matters for this phase of it in terms of being sketch plat. It certainly, from what the staff says, it complies with the ordinance, but I think it would be beneficial to find a way out the back, even if it's just for emergency purposes. I know there's a few developments where there's a gated thing that I don't know what you call it, where it's sirens, they can get back in there if there's an emergency. So it's kind of where we are.
I'm confused. This gravel road, is it coming from St. Andrews? Is that where you thought where the sewer came through?
Yeah.
Spring Mills Farm. Yeah, right up along Dunham's property.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure.
When they did take this into the HARP system, the DOH took these subdivision roads from Andrews all the way back to this subdivision, when all those roads to Spring Mills Farms were taken in by DOH. All of the residents accepted that. They had to sign off on that. We did find that from DOH. So they gave up their right, if you will, of their own community because they have HARP roads, which means DOH has to plow them and fix them and maintain them for mail and bus access. That's the HARP system.
Additional questions?
I guess I have another comment. I'm just not sure that they're ready for to advance it even to the sketch plan. I don't think they're ready for that. There's so many unanswered questions. I read here where our staff recommend advancement of the sketch plan. There's a lot of unanswered questions. Not real crazy though.
Well, most of the unanswered questions are dealing with the water and sewer and the highway department, which they're working on, so,
And also which we have nothing to do with.
yeah,
I get it.
so.
Hi.
Do you have something you need to say?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
the public hearing's been closed, but what is it you need
Oh,
to
it
say?
is closed? Okay, never mind then. I had a comment. I travel 901. I live there. I just had a couple comments to make, but if it's closed, that's okay. Okay, thank you.
Jeff?
Just to go back through, staff recommends approval. Approving the sketch plan allows us to move forward with these other approvals. DOH, like I said, typically a traffic impact study doesn't get submitted before a sketch plan. We're trying to get out in front of this. We have looked at the other entrances. And another point on the engineering, those right-of-ways, it's a 40-foot right-of-way. It's not large enough per current ordinance standards. It would either need to be 50 or 60 feet wide back at that development. We have not asked for any waivers. All we are asking is we can move forward with this plan to prove that there's safe entrances. DOH will approve a permit, and we can come back to you with all these answers. That's what the sketch plan is for, is to initiate this discussion and allow us to get into the engineering phase of the project. Thank you.
I would just like to reiterate what he said here is, we got the ordinance, we got the rules, the developers following the rules. They were actually proactive on the one issue on the right of way. So it's a bit unfair to make them, or to have them go through everything they're supposed to do under the ordinance and raise up all these other issues that are more appropriate to be raised later on. And that will be raised. And if they don't get rectified or satisfied to your satisfaction or meet the requirements of the ordinance, then you don't approve. But we're at the point where we're going through the hoops, going through the steps, and we're at step one, and everything's checked off, and engineering and planning's approved it, and I don't think really you have much alternatives than to advance it at this point. And I'm not saying that everybody's concerns aren't valid. They are valid, and they'll be addressed. And for last time, I'd just like to say the developer's been proactive here.
Well, Mr. Matthias, in all fairness, I truly believe that his proactive statement on this right-of-way is because he knows it's not a good situation to start with. Let's be open and honest about that. Otherwise it wouldn't have been a concern early in. So this entrance issue, it is an issue. Otherwise, Chad would have addressed it, somewhere else, a little bit later in the process. So that's my opinion on that. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, because I'm not a disrespectful person. But let's call an ace and ace, a spade a spade. So.
I appreciate that, and that's why they're working through it and see what the alternatives are. And if something comes up and somehow all of a sudden we can determine we get a right of way through Spring Mills for emergency, we would certainly pursue that. But I disagree with council here that this was a road. It was a right of way reserved by the developer. As far as, it's not a paved road. And it was apparently so that he could join in additional land at some point if he wanted to. And didn't happen for the reasons I previously mentioned. It's just a 40-foot between two lots. Nobody else uses it. And I think it's pretty clear that the subdivision people either, they aren't doing anything with it. They're not maintaining it. And the other lot owners don't drive over it. It can only go from a Harp Road to the adjoining property. It's just there and was never used and never needed. And,
Comment on that.
Okay,
That property
this-
was landlocked back in the day. There was only a 30-foot right of way into it. And Bashir, which lives in the city, he bought the piece of property off of Porterfields that's coming out to 901. He purchased that because he knew that ground would have been landlocked. So that's the reason why he purchased that out in front, so he could have a right of way into that property. As far as the sewer line went to St. Andrews, I believe that there is no right of way. There's no gravel road coming into that I'm aware of. And if they put a road over top of that, it'd be over top of the sewer line that they ran through there a few years back.
But the sewer line was specifically designed,
Okay.
it says in the agreements.
Okay, Mr. Cushwell, appreciate your comments. The public hearing has been closed. And let me tell you, this room, that there is a lot of scrutiny that will go on between now and the time there's any dirt turned back there. It's a big project, and this is just the very beginning. We appreciate your comments and your time to come in here, and I'm sure that as it gets further along, some of your questions will be answered before it ever comes back into the preliminary plan stage. So a lot of engineering work goes into the preliminary plan. So, just have to trust the Planning Commission's judgment here on this particular motion that we will be hearing this evening. And I am ready for a motion.
Make motion, we accept staff recommendation for advancement of sketch plan to preliminary plan stage.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Gokenhour. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Lewis. Are there any additional questions at this time? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose?
No.
Okay, let me see a show of hands for the ayes.
Preliminary plan stage is basically just a thought process.
No,
that's
sketch
been-
plan is a thought process.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Preliminary
So
plan is
sketch plan
fine.
is just very simply what it is, a sketch of what they propose to be able to do. There's been issues brought about by numerous people and including our staff. Hopefully those things can be addressed, especially when we're talking about blasting, those type of things, damage to other people's property. They shouldn't have to worry about those things should be addressed. Hopefully they'll be able to work with Mr. Cushwell and maybe rearrange some of that. I greatly appreciate that.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. It's been properly seconded. Let me see a show of hands for those who are in favor of the motion. 3, and then you're opposed?
Correct.
1 no? Okay, let the record show there's 3 yeses and 1 no by Mr. Bush. The motion passes. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. Okay, we're ready to move into the preliminary plan approval. Let's just take a couple of minutes here and let everybody get out of the room.
I'm gonna get a drink of water.
Get to.
Moonshine in yours. A little moonshine in yours.
Okay.
Okay, perhaps maybe someone in the back can close that door.
We're moving.
A lot of conversation back there.
Here, go ahead and get that one. Let's start walking past there. Continuing the conversation.
Okay, go ahead, Laura. This is Specs Run Substation.
Yes, this is a staff report for request for preliminary plan approval. The project is Specs Run Substation, file 2305-190. The developer's First Energy and the engineer's Triad Engineering. It's located in the Mill Creek District, tax map 17, parcel 39.5, and is situated on the southwest side of Avanti Drive where it intersects with Antler Lane. The project proposes 1 electrical substation with no utilities proposed. No waivers or exceptions have been requested. On December 7th, 2023, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance. The preliminary plan meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends advancement of the preliminary plan.
Okay, do we have anyone to represent Specs Run subdivision?
Eric Oster with Triad Engineering.
Okay, planning commission members, do you have questions of the representative or of the staff?
Eric, the work that they're doing on Route 11, right there where the former Piggy's was, an awful lot of high wire stuff coming up through there. Is that to go back to that station? Is that how they're going to pull that power off?
It has nothing to do with our project. I don't know.
No, you don't?
No,
Okay.
they never said anything to me about it, so I'm not sure.
They just moved in there about a week and a half ago.
I know they're tying in. It's right beside their high wires, and they're tying into those. But that work on Route 11, I don't think has anything to do with this.
It looks like they're going back that direction. That's why I was wondering if they were trying to pull.
We're just tying into those, into the high wires that are right beside the substation.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
Additional questions?
I was back in there probably a month ago now. They were working on that site, so. It wasn't terribly offensive, I don't think. Anybody, I wouldn't think so.
Are there any additional questions? If not, we're ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept staff recommendations for advancement of the preliminary plan.
Second.
Second by, first by Mr. Lewis, second by Mr. Bush, to accept staff recommendation, that is to advance the project to the preliminary, advancement of the preliminary plan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Okay, the next project for preliminary plan approval is Dollar General in Glengarry.
Yes, this is a request for preliminary plan approval. The project is Dollar General Glengarry, file 2303-115. The developer's Wall Street Partners WV2 LLC, and the engineer's Thrasher. It's located in the Jaredstown District, tax map 30, parcel 12.10, and is located approximately 0.14 miles east of Back Creek Valley Road along Apple Harvest Drive. This project proposes a 12,480 square foot Dollar General on 2 acres to be served by private well and septic. No waivers or exceptions have been requested. On December 11th, 2023, County Engineer Doug Smith issued a letter of approval stating that a review of the above-mentioned project was completed and found to be in compliance with the subdivision ordinance. The preliminary plan meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends advancement of the preliminary plan.
Do we have anyone to represent the project?
And Brad Messenger with Thrasher.
Thank you. Planning Commission members, do you have questions of Mr. Messenger or of the staff regarding Dollar General Glengarry?
I have no questions, ma'am, but I would like for the record to state that we did ask Department of Highways to check about a turn lane and was denied. I'd like that to be in the record. And I'm prepared to make the motion.
Okay.
Move us forward. I have a motion to accept staff recommendation for advancement of the preliminary plan.
Motion by Mr. Gokenhour, second by Mr. Goff, to accept staff recommendation, and that is to advance the preliminary plan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any questions? Motion passed. The next item under preliminary plan approval is Caliber Collision.
Yes, this is a request for preliminary plan approval. The project is Caliber Collision, file 2307-251. The developer is Brett Flory and the engineer is Freeland and Kaufman, Inc. It's located in the Apecan District, Tax Map 6, Parcel 13.8, and is located at 925 Mid-Atlantic Parkway, approximately 950 feet west of Williamsport Pike. This project proposes a 15,423 square foot auto body paint and repair shop on approximately 2.4 acres to be served by public water and sewer. No waivers or exceptions have been requested. On September 21st, 2023, County Engineer Doug Smith issued a letter of approval stating that a review of the above-mentioned project was completed and found to be in compliance with the subdivision ordinance. The preliminary plan meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends advancement of the preliminary plan.
Do we have anyone to represent the project, Caliber Collision?
I'm Brett Flory. I'm the architect. Actually, I do most of their work across the country, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Planning Commission members, how about you? Do you have questions of Mr. Flory or of the staff?
This is an existing structure,
It is
correct?
an existing building.
So stormwater management and all that should have already been done?
There wasn't any stormwater management for the existing building.
Really?
Yeah, there was never any.
What year was that building built?
What?
Why, how did that,
It's old, it predates sword.
From the 90s.
that's old?
Yeah.
Based on stormwater.
You gotta remember, only in 2016 was when we had a stormwater ordinance.
Thanks a lot, Laura.
Before that, it said, try and use the Maryland manual if you can. There was no.
Old in terms of stormwater ordinance.
I've heard enough from you all. That's all I need to hear. Thank you.
You heard old, and that was enough,
That
right?
was it. Done.
We love you.
If there's no further questions that predate the old issue, I'm ready for a motion.
Make a motion to advance to the preliminary plan stage.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bush, second by Mr. Lewis, to accept staff recommendation and that's to advance the preliminary plan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No questions? Motion passes. The next preliminary final plat approval, Clemens White.
Yes, this is a request for preliminary final plat approval. The project is Clemens White. The file is 2311-371. Developer is Clemens White. The surveyor is, Roberts Land Surveying. It's located in the Opecan District, Map 8, Parcel 1. The project is located on the west side of Greensburg Road, approximately 1,200 feet north of its intersection with Featherbed Lane. The project proposes the creation of two residential lots. Lot 1, 50.0122 acres, Lot 2, 8.0976, with a residue of 75.8599, all served by private well and septic. On December 4th, 2023, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project in compliance with the subdivision ordinance 2009. The project is found to be in compliance with the subdivision ordinance. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the preliminary final plat.
Okay, let me just make a correction to the staff report. It's Featherbed Road. Yeah, Lane is in Virginia. Okay, Mr. Roberts, you're here.
Good evening, yes. Mike Roberts, represent the
Been a
project.
while since we've seen you.
Trying to retire.
I heard that.
It's hard.
Well, it's great once it happens. Just let me tell you that. Right, Eddie?
I don't know about that yet. Pretty much.
Okay, do you have any questions of Mr. Roberts or of the staff?
There are no questions. I make a motion that we accept staff recommendations for preliminary plan.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lewis, second by Mr. Gokenhour to accept staff recommendation, and that is to approve the preliminary final plat for Clemens White. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Or any questions? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, the next project is Welsh subdivision.
This is a request for preliminary final plat approval. The project is Welsh subdivision. The file is 2308-263. The developer is Sandra Ramey. The surveyor is engineer and surveyor is Fox and Associates Incorporated. It's located in the Opecan District, Map 12, Parcel 2. The project is located east of Greensburg Road and north of Swan Pond Road. The project proposes 3 residential lots on 193.88 acres to be served by private well and septic. On December 12, 2023, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance 2009. The project is found to be in compliance with the subdivision ordinance. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the preliminary final plat.
Do we have anyone to represent the project?
Yes, good evening. Steve Sianovich representing the applicant.
Thank you. Planning Commission members, do you have questions of Mr. Sianovich or the staff?
Hearing no question now, make motion to accept staff recommendation for approval of the preliminary final plat.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Gokenhour, second by Mr. Lewis. A lot of finger pointing going on here. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No questions, motion passed.
Thank you. I hope you all have a nice holiday.
Yep,
you too.
See you early January, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, the last item on the agenda is Dollar General, Hedgesville Road.
Yes, this is a request for preliminary final plat approval. The project is Dollar General Hedgesville Road. The file is 2309-323. The developer is Wall Street Partners, WV2 LLC. The engineer is Strasher. It's located in the Hedgesville District, map 21, parcel 67.2. This site is located on the south side of Hedgesville Road, near the intersection of Cates Hollow Road and Hedgesville Road. This project proposes the creation of a 10,640 square foot Dollar General on 1.93 acres to be served by public water and sewer. On October 25, 2023, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance 2009. The project is found to be in compliance with the subdivision ordinance. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the preliminary final plat.
Thank you. You're it.
Yep. Brad Messenger with Thrasher.
Thank you. Planning Commission members, do you have questions of Mr. Messenger or of the staff?
Right, is that going in where the shell pit dug out?
Yes.
So you got really good sight distance down through there.
And there is a turn lane at this. We're connecting a turn lane to the post office.
Right,
Yep.
very good.
It's a common entrance,
Yes.
Okay.
so that instead of 2, there'd be 1, so. I think we were pretty good on this one. With giving us the turn lane.
So when they go into the post office, they go this way to the
Yes,
Dollar
ma'am.
General?
It's actually further down from the post, they're not sharing with the post office, they're sharing with
The residue.
the lot for Dollar General and the residue.
Oh, okay.
But the sight distance is better.
Yeah.
We're able to get the turn lane, and I think it's like, this is probably a win, this is a big win.
What's the residue?
We don't know, but it's the same size as the Dollar General lot, but
Just two
there's no
lots?
proposed use for it.
So there's
I
2
mean,
lots there?
Yes.
Yeah, so there'll be one parcel now, it's 2 lots.
Oh, okay.
One with the Dollar General and one, they have to show us as residential since we don't have zoning and we have to have it at least ready for a single family home. But I would assume that it's not gonna be a single family home down the road. So we'll see another
It's
site
gonna be
plan
a
for that.
7-Eleven or a Sheetz,
Something, but we'll see it.
Car wash.
Car wash.
Wawa's.
Yeah, Family Dollar, yeah.
Yeah, Family Dollar.
Family Dollar.
Okay.
Actually, they need an auto zone out there, if you ask me.
Don't they have one up there on that hill?
What?
Isn't there a auto parts up there on the hill?
No, they need an auto zone.
Auto zone.
Yeah,
Oh,
Vance, all that.
okay.
We take Vance, but we like auto zone.
We like that. All right.
Now, if you get a Napa, that's gotta be.
Okay. We got your idea here. Any further questions, or are there any questions?
Make a
Okay,
motion, we accept staff recommendations for preliminary final plan.
Okay, motion by Mr. Lewis. Second by Mr. Gokenhour. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any questions? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Anything from legal or staff that you want to discuss?
Did we get on the county?
We did.
We did? No, December
Yes.
14th?
You're
I
on.
don't know what the date is.
Jeff, yeah, I mean, Jeff spoke with county commission last meeting. It's gonna be re-advertised. I believe it was discussed that county commission will sit down and go through all of the comments that we got from the developers roundtable this last go around. And then decide what county commission would like to see accepted as changes and whatnot. That's where we're at.
Okay.
We're very close.
Very close. This is
We've been
gonna,
very
very
close for a
happy.
long
is this
time.
gonna be,
encouraged.
is this gonna be a 2024 ordinance
Yes.
then? It's not
Yes,
gonna
of
be
course.
25?
No, 24.
Don't say that.
We're
Okay.
very encouraged.
Very
Maybe
encouraged.
24.
Has
Okay.
any information been received from homeowners or developer on Martinsburg Lakes related to the?
Today, there was a request from Ryan for the original geotechnical study for the lakes. And I sent them to the archives.
Which is on the website.
Because we've tabled that.
We've sent that out several
The
times.
second meeting in March is what you guys, because you kicked it to 90 days.
So it'll be March.
The 90th day is the first meeting in March, so
My
it's slated
question-
for the second meeting in March.
My question to the man behind you, can we actually, can we actually table something for that long?
Well, we can discuss that.
Okay.
Well, what do we do if they don't give us anything?
You're asking my legal opinion?
I mean, like I said, in
My
the past, we've
opinion
asked
is that the project dies, and that's my feelings on it.
Okay.
We've been talking about this for over a year and a half, and they've gotten nothing settled, so.
Well, it's a civil matter, isn't it now with the
Yeah,
amenity?
if you want to discuss potentially issues where we can get involved in litigation, we should do that in executive session.
Ah,
I won't do it.
do you wanna discuss it? We can go into executive session.
I don't think we
Do that in January.
Sorry to bring it up.
Do that in January.
Okay,
Based on that, I went to adjourn.
okay. I have a motion by Mr. Goff to adjourn, and I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Lewis. We will adjourn at 7:16. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?